85 to 90% of people are going to be applying from their cell phone. And so one of the biggest issues is employers are like, I want a cover letter, I want a resume, and I want all these things. I want them to go to my website and I want them to apply. And like, they make it so hard, bar of entry so high. And I can tell you this, so if a business ever tries to get me to go to their website to apply to a job, I don't do it, okay? And I think I'm a pretty good candidate. That was actually something that we'd always get as a complaint. Like, we have way too many reps. I do not have time to train all these reps, right? Please stop recruiting. And guess what would happen every time we stopped recruiting? Production would die every single time, okay? So what we found, and it's the hardest lesson to teach anybody, because everybody wants to say, hey, I want to spend a ton of time recruiting. I want to spend a ton of time training these guys. I need weeks and weeks and weeks to train them. When the reality is you need to get them on the doors, and then you need to continually train them every single day with a set amount of time. But moral of the story, we would hire 5 people per area per week, okay? And this is typically how it would bake out. So number one, 5 people would come in. We had no idea if they were going to be good or bad, okay? Because the reality is none of us are super good judges of character, okay? So I have a master's in data science, and as I was studying machine learning models, my first thought was like, what if I created a machine learning model that could essentially tell me who to hire and not to hire? And then I went down a rabbit hole. There's a big company called HP that tried to do this, and they're like, no matter how many machine learning models we ran, we never got it right, ever, okay? No matter how many times we tried to do this, we never got it right. So we'd hire 5 people, and then week 1, we would start to understand who's good, who's bad, and as we continued to go, eventually by week 10, we had 3 studs, 5 people who were fine, we had 4 people who were C players, and we eventually had a team, right? And as we continued to do this, what ended up happening is, this is like for closers specifically, but our close percentage started to rise because we started to get better and better people, and we'd rate them dependent on their close percentage, right? But the key was always to be making sure you hit 5 new hires a week, all right? Per area, let me be clear, per area. So what we eventually started to figure out is in about 20 weeks, we were going to have a very, very healthy office that was self-sustaining, that was closing at the percentage that we wanted to close at, because we were giving them leads. And if we followed the process without fail, it would hit that every single time. Like, cool, we were closing at 7%. If it was a setting team, we were able to build it a lot faster than that, just because you didn't have to worry so much about close percentage. You were more worried about sit percentage, which that would come a little bit more organically. But key number 1, hire 5 new people a week, okay? There's a lot more nuance to it than just that, though, because obviously nothing in life is as simple as just hiring 5 people and letting them run wild, okay? So this is how we tracked all of our metrics. So I find this to be the best, easiest way, and I'm gonna explain this to you a little bit, and I apologize if you hate data, but it is the easiest way to track your recruiting metrics, in my personal opinion. So number 1, how much did we spend, okay? How much did we spend that week? The number 2 thing is impressions, and I'm gonna go over how to raise every single one of these, okay? Impressions are essentially people saw your job ad. If you post on Indeed all the time and you're like, I don't put any money into it, but it's like, well, no one's ever gonna see your job ad. So are people seeing your job ad? And there's a lot of tools on Indeed that we're gonna talk about with that. So the next thing, how many people are actually clicking on your job ad, all right? And then of the people who click, how many people apply? And then interviews, how many people actually sign up for an interview or attend the interview? And then how many people are hired, trained, produced, and then star? And so it gets really interesting though here as you go down and you look at the dollar amount side right here, okay? One of the hardest things that we'd ever have as far as door-to-door goes is people end up getting really good and end up earning a lot of money, right? And so that sometimes they'd come to their manager and they say, hey, I can go here and I can make $50,000 on a sign-on bonus, or unless you can match that. And then the problem was we weren't gonna match that. And so what we had found is we were able to get somebody who was a star or a high producer for about $2,200, right? That's what it cost us. If we wanted somebody who was gonna produce at a high level for us, we knew it was costing us about $2,200, all right? And so we were tracking that every single week. There was times that it would get a little bit higher, and then we'd have to adjust, and I'm gonna go over that too. But we'd start to see like, okay, if there's an efficiency, that's where the percentages are. They're dealing with more of the efficiencies. If there was any type of things that was happening efficiency-wise with our job ads, then we were essentially able to go in and we were able to adjust that, okay? Adjust those job ads, make it so we were hiring more and more efficient. Don't worry, I'm gonna dive more into that, so it's not so much just pure numbers here. So, step one, impressions. There's a bunch of ways to make sure that people are actually seeing your job ads, okay? So, number one, how long ago did you post your job ad? Did you post it weeks ago and then you forgot it? How much are you refreshing your job ads, okay? Are you changing things about your job ads? So, an example would be is like, are you changing wording? Are you changing title? Are you changing location? Job recency really matters as far as making sure people are actually seeing what's going on. The next thing is, are you sponsoring it, putting money behind it? Indeed's a business. They want your money. Obviously, it's just like Google. If you want your job ad to be seen, you need to know what jobs are around you, okay? So if there's a lot of job ads that are basically labeled as sales rep, you're gonna have to pay more money for that job ad, okay? But if you can change them up and get a little creative with what your job ad is, and you'll go from there. So that's a big one also. So job seeker engagement, if people are like engaging with your job ad and they're clicking on it, Indeed is all about keeping people on their website, okay? So if people are clicking on your job ad, they think it's attractive, then they will start to actually engage with it. And you'll get more views from that. Including salary information, another one. If you have that, people are looking, there's filters that will automatically filter your job out if there's no salary inclusion on there. So if people have those filters on, you're gonna miss out on a lot of people. And then making sure that you're adhering to Indeed's quality guidelines, also important too. So, any questions on impressions before we move on? Yeah. I would just do on-target earnings. On-target earnings on that, and don't be astronomical. If you're like, I had one rep one time make potentially 500,000 if he did that well every single week, like they're not gonna click on that. Just be realistic, what they're probably gonna make, 70, 80, 90, 100K. So, any other questions? No, we're good, okay. The next one, this is really big. So, any business, has anybody ever sold for a business that has really bad reviews? It's kind of hard, right? You probably get a lot of cancellations if that's a possibility. It's a hard thing. Reviews matter. People trust Google for a lot of reasons, even though the people who go to Google are sometimes they're angry or they're going there to leave a review for a reason. Not all the happy customers are actually leaving one, but the angry ones typically are. So there is a rating on Indeed right here. So I pulled this from a live job. Hopefully no one works at Live Source Water Systems, but I pulled it from a live job, Pasadena, California. And it has the salary range, 175 to 225 a year. Pretty enticing, right? I could get a rep with that. That sounds awesome. But what's wrong with their business? They have a 3.3 star rating on Indeed, okay? People care about that. I promise, like if yours is a super low and you're not paying attention to that, then you will lose out on a lot of people who are gonna be applying to your job. No, that's just Indeed. Just Indeed. Indeed has a review page for your company business page. Ad spend per week. Hey, but keep in mind that was like 40 offices. Yeah, we're not talking one. Like one's like $200. Okay. Yeah, like so that's basically company wide. So, okay. So a couple things on here. How to get your job clicked on. Simplify the application process. If there's something right here, the next thing, I'd say the two biggest, we'll go back to that. One of the biggest things are, most of these people who are applying to your job, are they applying from a computer or are they applying from your cell phone? 85 to 90% of people are gonna be applying from their cell phone. And so one of the biggest issues is employers are like, I want a cover letter, I want a resume, and I want all these things. I want them to go to my website and I want them to apply. And like they make it so hard, bar of entry so high. And I can tell you this, so if a business ever tries to get me to go to their website to apply to a job, I don't do it, okay? And I think I'm a pretty good candidate.